Welcome back to the May tech update for SODAX. SODAX, infrastructure for modern money, cross-network execution and liquidity for builders and networks, live across 18 plus networks. And with me is Fez. Fez, why do we say 18 plus networks?
Because it's always going to grow.
It's always going to grow. It might be 19 now. Like, let's check in. So we're going to do a tech update for the month of May. Fez, you're going to walk us through the roadmap, essentially telling us where the cards are at, what's progressing, what's been done, and what we're looking forward to. But let's kick it off with the classic. How have you been?
Good. Busy.
Catches
Feeling
you by
tired
surprise,
today.
doesn't it? You're tired.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. These this particular day gets long, but otherwise it's been crazy busy. Time's been flying. Getting some wins on the board as always. Getting wins, but it always feels it's that next win that's gonna get.
You know what's tiring?
Yeah.
It's the remote office that we operate in. Like the way that our team is distributed across the planet, that's not a normal distribution. It is literally, it's like a linear, we're everywhere. And it is, every time zone is represented, and you can work from 3 a.m. till 2 p.m. if you want to. It's, at times it kind of happens, and it's just all happening and it's all go. So that's probably where sometimes you feel a bit tired, and I get that.
Particularly worse for me because I'm in the Australian time zone. So, and a lot of the guys are in Europe, as you are. So it's like my evening is your morning. And even if you try to work evenings, like it's kind of to sync up, you can't help but sit at your computer during the day. Like I can't help it. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll just do this. Next thing it's like the whole day has passed. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And today's been one of those. Yeah.
That's a good intro to the board. Like we're all expecting green cards now, Fez. Is that the case?
So this is now again. This is one of those updates that I apologize for. This was one of my things I was trying to get done. And believe it or not, I've created an entire automation, David. All I have to do is like speak my mind, and all the cards will get updated the way I want it to. But I didn't even get a chance to speak my mind today, so I'll give the updates. But by the time everyone's watching this video, the cards will get filled up. So just in the cards, they won't have what I'm going to say. So yeah, okay. So Bitcoin is done. So I'm just going to move this one. What was pending? Bitcoin's been done for a while. Now it's kind of done in the full sense. Documentation is one part of it. It's today I saw there's been some updates, so we'll get that published. But overall, SDK partners can integrate it. Bitcoin has a slight difference in its implementation just because of the way Bitcoin works. And anyway, that will be available in documentation for folks to take a look at who are integrating. That said, though, radFi kind of is already live with it. So if you go to their platform, you can swap in and out of certain assets to Bitcoin. And that's obviously using our infrastructure, which is great.
On the Bitcoin integration, like you said, it is a different beast, Bitcoin is, and integrating it into the SDK for us is one thing, making the Bitcoin asset natively tradable across all of our 18 plus networks. There's a bit of a integration, might I say, burden on the partners that we're trying to minimize so that it's as easy as possible for them to switch on Bitcoin. And I guess very diligent documentation, both for implementing engineers and implementing AIs, is something that we're working on right now to make sure that, the integration is flawless. When partners decide to switch on Bitcoin, which I think every partner will, because being able to trade in and out of Bitcoin from within the app or the product that you're building, that's always a value add. And will there be a money market accessible across networks for Bitcoin as well?
Yes, most definitely. It will have the full suite of products. So you'd be able to essentially, put native Bitcoin into the money market if they partners enable it. Yeah. and take out a loan. Okay, let's then keep moving. The Solver Liquidity Module. So just a reminder, it is the liquidity module. This kind of piece, I've kind of bundled a lot of this together, but essentially it is the execution modules of how we execute the solver, the way it connects to the AMMs. And then there's another component to this, which is an RPC manager, a little bit different though, but they're codependent or improve functionality overall for the solver together. This is currently in staging, only the EVM components. The execution modules for the non-EVM pieces are actually going into staging today. So next week, we envision a whole round of testing, and the following week, we'll see the upgrades go live. Now, it'll be the following week or the week after, so depending on how testing goes. It actually wasn't testing last week, a few bugs, issues, so it's been rolled back to patch those, and now it will go through another round of testing. It's a decent, substantial upgrade architecturally as well for the modules. So hence it's being really put through its paces before it goes into the production solver. So this is close, very close now to getting done, which is exciting. I need to update that, so that timeline has kind of missed a little bit. The vault feature, which I talked about, this is the initial vault, will be the LST looping. Work's done, testing, reviews done. At the moment, it's being tested live literally today to see how it goes. And if all that goes well, then we will prep for audits. Post audits, we will then look to get deployments live in the SDK for partners to explore, potentially explore launching vaults. I guess in all my updates at the moment, it's literally getting it to the stage that it's exposed in the SDK and available for partners. That's the goal. Then, we'll see partners take it on. But this is a complete new functionality that this is the one thing we planned from a new functionality for partners on top of money market swaps, CDPs, is the vaults feature, and it'll be this LST vault.
And does it apply to just one asset or any asset that has liquid staking at scale?
Any. So it'll be most liquid staked assets, they have to be supported by our money market as well. So at this point, it will probably, the range will be one LST per chain, apart from EtherFi and Lido's ETH for Ethereum. Every other chain, basically one major LST to ensure it has substantial liquidity. It's been around for a while and is actually safe. And that's how we'll roll it out, because we can't just stack anything due to money market risk profile assessments and stuff like that. We've got to be very careful with what assets end up on the money market, because it introduces new risks, which, if people have been following, you kind of have seen happen across Aave with the recent hack. So just got to be careful with how we go about doing it, with tight limits, tight selection of assets, etc. Cool. And anything else there, David? Or
no, I'm excited. You could slap the excited tag on that one as well, and then we can move on to the next.
Okay, great. This is the one I'm excited about. Okay, so I did give a rundown of the part splitting algorithm. This was the next big piece. Now that we have a solver stable, we've got all these other components getting worked out and revised, but overall, the algorithm used to price when a user's going to swap, one asset to the other, hasn't been changed. It's kind of just gone through to the third version of the solver, and we've fundamentally known, it's good, but it breaks down as we ask for bigger quotes. So generally, even when we're out there like competing on Houdini and now Near Intense, when we win, we always win smaller amounts. Anything over 500, very rare we're winning. And we've known that, right? So the part splitting algorithm was always planned. It's a very big piece. It requires quite a lot of research before implementation. There's some splitting algorithms that exist, and kind of we needed time to research it, etc. Good news on this front, research has actually gone very well. We are implementing an algorithm labeled Prime algorithm. Love the name. It's not industry standard or anything, it's just what we named it internally. And the research is actually finished. it's in implementation, David. So if all goes well, end of May, we should have it in production, which means essentially, when you go to do that $5,000 swap, $10,000 swap, $20,000 swap, one, we can increase our limits, because at the moment we've kind of got them capped at 10, 15,000, because like anything above that, you're just getting a terrible rate, even though we have ample of liquidity to service it. But with this algorithm, then, someone goes to do a $20,000 swap, say, of ETH, this algorithm will kind of run through like Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, all the pools it has on ETH, and how it can break up, the swap, including Sui and a few other chains that actually have liquidity. It will see if it can spread the swap across multiple chains and those other chains that kind of import ETH and whatnot, to see if it can get a better price to do the swap. Right. And it factors in gas, it factors in quite a lot of different things. But ultimately, kind of what happens is the quote comes in and it webs out instead of. So at the moment, on PancakeSwap, if you do like 100 BNB to USDT, you will see it breaks that 100 BNB into a pool that goes into the USDT pool, BNB USDT pool. But then it'll also break it into different components, like 10% may go somewhere else in other pools, because that's what gives it a better price, right? Because it will then break up, gives slippage across the pools less, and you get a better outcome. So the Prime algorithm will do this, but across all our integrated dexes and pools, with keeping in line gas, etc. So it can't ultimately break it up too much, because if you split it across every chain, save that assets on every chain, but then you have to pay gas and etc., and then the quote starts becoming inefficient. So it's kind of this is what the part splitting algorithm is all about, Prime, and it's an implementation. So end of May, I'll update this card to give more context, but pretty excited about that. Because the first thing, though, just one little thing on that, we will first implement this through the module of NeoIntents before we bring it to the main and made available to all the partners. Because if whatever reason something breaks, etc., it's very contained, and it gives us a bit of time to test in production without there being impacts to anyone, any users, etc.
Understood. So what you're saying is it's essentially a massive upgrade to the SODAX solver, and the SODAX solver powers the SDK, but it also goes to external solver marketplaces to compete for trades, and that's where we're going to test it out first.
Exactly. And the good thing there, like with NeoIntents, I made mention, we win this. Actually, on NeoIntents, let's remind me to circle back to it. There's a few things I need to call out for NeoIntents, but essentially we should be able to contend for some bigger volumes to win some of those quotes, and this part splitting will enable that, because we'll be able to get better pricing. Cool. Okay, CCTP on the solver. Okay, this is currently paused because there is a dependency on the liquidity modules and all, not just EVM, the non-EVM. So the entire Stacks liquidity modules need to get finished before we can continue the CCTP solver integration. So at the moment, this is on hold, and I don't have any updates on it until this piece is done. But full transparency. There, SDK v2, I am actually just testing the build. Everything is done. Currently, it's being tested on a demo application that we have internally to test new features as we release it. So it's just migrated to v2 and currently being tested. Part of this, like the go live date at the moment scheduled is 11th of May to be made available. Part of this is we've built skills. We've simplified the SDK. I've talked about this last time, so I won't spend too much time here, but we've also created skills, specific skills to help existing partners migrate, and any potential new partner, if they go through V2, like we have custom-made skills for them to help their agents, etc., just help integrate the SDK into their protocol. So we've kind of built it and optimized it that way to make it even easier to integrate. Like David, when V2 is released, you'll be able to kind of go to Claude, just start a session in Claude Code and go, hey, build me a swap app. Here's an SDK, and here's the SDK, and here's the MCP server. Use these things and build me a swap application that looks like, and take a screenshot of Uniswap, and it should be able to one-shot it.
Mm-hmm. That's the holy grail, one-shotting any request or any build, really. I think another update or upgrade to make the SDK more AI ready is kind of slimming down and standardizing payloads, like making the calls more lightweight whenever you want to instruct the SDK to do something.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to call a certain function or feature and provide, some additional inputs. Sometimes you don't need to provide those inputs, and those little discrepancies really throw off an AI because it will go and have success with the first one, and then try and replicate that on the next call during its building, and it will start failing, and it won't realize that that is actually because it got the payloads wrong. So yeah, being very explicit about what you want, typically in the form of markdown. Agents love markdown.
Oh,
is,
yes.
is important, but also just like standardizing the calls throughout the SDK, so that once an AI has understood what you're asking it to do, it can rinse and repeat and basically breeze through and deliver that one-shot result. So that's a good upgrade / update for the SDK, because we do envision a lot more agentic or agentic powered building, agentic assisted building. It's all I do these days.
Yep, same. Well, I try to. So that's the SDK. May 11th. I'm pretty confident we will hit that and deliver that date. In fact, the May 11th date, I've given a revised date there with buffer room built into that. That's why I'm pretty confident, and given I'm testing it at the moment and it's looking good. So okay, these ones I've just added, so there'll be information here. You won't actually see this, but I thought I'll give context. We have got a suite of new tokens going to be made available through the SDK, around 55 of them across all of the networks, and I'll just leave it there. So that is it's actually being tested at the moment, but again, like a lot of these now start becoming cross dependencies, right? So this one is dependent on this, so they've both been, but because this has been reworked and needs one more week of testing, we circled back and kind of had a bit of a delay on the tokens. But essentially, when this is good to go, we've got the suite of new tokens, which is exciting, So I know I'm excited because I use stuff. I DCA a lot, so it's small amounts, which again, SODAX gives good quotes. So I'm always on balanced or SODAX and buying, and I always am like, oh, I want to get some Aave, I want to get some Uni, I want to get this, I want to get that, and I can't, and it bugs me, and I have to go somewhere else to get it. So I'm kind of excited that we're reaching the phase of new tokens, and once we get it on and it's all stable, we'll keep that expansion coming.
Yeah, because that's a big ask. It is from I think partners or users using the apps that our partners power. It's just more access to assets. Right now we have I think 25 different assets, and it's all working, and the infra is there. It's just kind of, we're waiting for the tap to open and not close. I'd like 1,000 assets in there. I'd like any asset that anyone wants in there, but making that possible, I guess it starts with these first 55.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we're up to. So there's quite a few moving things, like seeing the SDK v2, the upgraded algorithm, the modules, like all these pieces are like coming together. And as soon as they're all out, we'll see substantial improvements in things. So when you go to balance, you're just going to see some really bigger swap sizes and swap rates, etc., and which I'll talk to in a moment as well. Okay, so the other two cards I quickly created. So there's bit of work happened over the last month for fee capture improvements. Now, this is part of the reason, and I'm being extremely transparent here. There are several layers of how things work, and one of the things is what the solver does. And obviously, the solver takes 0.1% fee per swap, and everything was just migration, get things moving so that we don't have downtime. So we did all of that, but the fee capture and how it distributed the fee was always a bit buggy and broken. Not saying fees weren't captured here very clearly. What I'm saying here is the fee there was a known bug in it where at times it would distribute too much fees. so in light of that, we set up services where fees go through layers and then can get reassessed to make sure it's the right fees, and if it isn't, debt has to be get repaid, etc. So there's instances, like an example would be, hey, instead of sending one Polygon, it was sending an ETH as a fee, right? As revenue, contained revenue. Now this is wrong, and we've known this, hence there was a layer set up that all the fees that the solver generates go to a specific wallet that then gets audited and cross-referenced based on the actual swaps to make sure. Now these were rare instances, but in a month 1, 2, or 3 of these would happen, which then had 2 impacts. 1, they were the wrong fees, right? And 2, reporting's off. So suddenly when you look at reporting, it's like, hey, we've earned this much in revenue, but that can't be right because we've only done this much in volume. So this has kind of been the blockers to be able to build transparent dashboards to show the community what's going on. Okay. Oh, but why? Like, fact is, migration, new infrastructure. There's just so many things happening when you're making priority calls. Certain things, these to me weren't high priority, right? The priority was, are we distributing? Are we losing money? No. Have we put measures in to stop incorrect flow? Yes. Great. Okay, let's circle back to this. Once we've finished the migration, move the liquidity, got stuff stable, starting to grow our partner base to acquire more volume. Like these were all priorities. And now we're at that phase. Yep, there's a few things happening where, okay, let's fix these fee issues that we have. That's 1. 2, which means fixing the reporting and creating more detailed reporting, which is still in progress. It's not finished. But essentially, we've got fee capture on the solver, we've got fees happening on the money market, we've got fees happening on the AMM in terms of liquidity pools, we've got, a couple other fees, T-bill fees, we've got old balance fees still. Like, there's all this revenue happening in all these different components, and each of them kind of track all their metrics separately. So we kind of have to build reporting and processes to and APIs to pull these all together, and also at the same time shut down, right? We don't want old balance fees still, which we're almost there. Once users migrate their loans, that's kind of the last bit. The T-bills have been migrated, which is great. So that's kind of going to fix the next layer of reporting. But that's why those 2 cards are there, because we're trying to fix the solver fee issue, which has been fixed. It's being tested at the moment, and it has a few of those dependencies earlier that we just talked about. They also intertwine in that fee collectors issue. Yeah, and then reporting, and then we can get some transparent dashboards out.
Yeah, and I urge anyone who is kind of waiting for that to already go and check out sodax.com/holders, which is the environment where we kind of speak to the holders of the SODA asset. And we've pushed it live. We've updated the page with some stats at the bottom. There is clear information about exchanges that are supporting or in the process of supporting the asset. And this reporting that you talk about will become accessible through this environment. So we aim to fill that up with the stats that, as a SODA asset holder, you want to see. Like, you want to know what has performance been like. On the one side, what the markets are doing. Well, how is the SODAX system doing? And you should be able to get, information on that transparently. But like you said, a piece of work that we need to work through and had, could you say, deprioritized in favor of the more important stuff, like actually getting the system to work, actually being able to solve big quotes in many places. You need the performance first before you're going to report on it anyway. So I think that's a reason why this was pushed a bit, and now it's on the board there, and it's being tackled.
Yeah. So on that, so then I said I'd talk about, I can show some reporting, but I mean, like, everyone has to remember, we're definitely in a rebuild phase, right? Like, there's no sugarcoating this, and that's just been quite clear. Yes, the migration cost a little bit of rhythm, momentum, but overall, for the better. Once we rebuild, you're just seeing some of the stuff happening, and the way at the rate we're shipping and improvements we're able to make, we just couldn't do that before. So yeah, we're in a rebuild phase. People have been like, hey, how are we going? We've got some new partners, etc. We're limited. So we've got two things happening. We've got going out to new protocols. You're seeing quite a few announcements here and there. They're integrating. Markets are crabbing, so volume's just down overall. If there's nothing happening in the markets and it's just kind of going sideways, like doesn't matter who we get, even the big ones, if their volume drops, everyone's volumes drops. So that's one thing. And then the other part is we talked about near intents. So we're building a component of the solver that we can take and plug into different marketplaces, right? So near intent is kind of our core infrastructure. The solver is plugged in and now competing there. And that component is in production, but there's some barrier rules there at the moment. Like it's the first iteration we've got there. We basically only got 5 or 6 assets on near intents that we've provided liquidity that we can quote for and trade for. Off that, we've only provided $1,000. We've only made $1,000 of each asset available of these 5 assets. 5 or 6, don't quote me. Let's just go with 5. It's an easy number. Off that, we only quote. We can only quote up to $500 because of the way the near system works, and we put also there a few restrictions, right? Intentionally, we've got this particular thing stable working. And we will then look to, once we get the modules and a few of these dependencies out, then we can look to increase liquidity onto near intents. But overall, for example, like volumes dropped recently, but once we got these upgrades out, we had $5,000 of liquidity on that. That was giving us like close to an average of 10K a day volume just coming through near intents. Now that's not much. I get it, but again, from a fraction of the assets we can provide on the platform that we offer, and barely any liquidity we provide there, that to me is pretty good win. Yeah. So that's, and then we're doing more of these marketplace integrations. So 1inch is something that is being researched at the moment. And then on Uniswap and stuff like that, we can also have a solver compete because they actually have solver marketplaces, right? So and all of this kind of will come together with the prime algorithm.
Algorithm.
That's right, because then at the moment we quote based on what we can rebalance, right? So when we submit a thing, it's based on, we know we can rebalance for this amount. But suddenly with the prime algorithm, we're sourcing more pools and we can split our quotes. We'll be able to rebalance at a better rate, which means we should win more quotes, right? So okay, enough. So I did promise people I'll show a little bit of reporting. So there's 2 dashboards I want to show, and keeping in mind that we're in the rebuild process, things have always gotten better month on month. The first dashboard is very much not for external, so don't. It's not for external use, but I want people to see. So I'm not going to go through all this fields, and it's kind of confusing. But this is kind of the NOL. If putting it this portfolio, we built the dashboard. Obviously, we need to track the NOL, make sure everything's okay. Yes, it is valued at this much, but this does include 1.5 million of T-bills. So post a depressed market and everything, we were hovering at $4 million of our NOL, which I actually think held up quite well, given at its peak it was 7. So not too bad, given how much the market has shrunk. Yeah, so there's 4 and the 1.5 million in T-bills, and that's kind of what you're looking at. Now, I'm not, David, going to take you through this. This is just broken down because obviously the NOL is in the money market, then it's borrowed on, not borrowed on, like components of it is then put into LPs, and it's trying to paint that picture, which I'm not going to break down in this call. But I know people have been asking, how's NOL been looking, etc. This is kind of the tally at the moment of the overall NOL. The next thing over here, I wasn't going to spend the LP position. So this is all the liquidity that we have also provided. So assets like ETH and BTC, for example, they actually sit in the money market, and then this is how we've designed it. Then the interest-bearing asset along with BNUSD has been paired into the liquidity pool. And I will show you one thing here. Like these are, you can see multiple because they've been placed at different ranges, and there's a few things that haven't been captured here intentionally, so we're not giving away all the data. But yeah, the multiple places, and just talking about this, so we built a little API, right? And people have heard me kind of talk about this, but this kind of is connected to CoinGecko. And you remember, people have stuck around for the journey. Like one of the decisions we were trying to build was concentrated liquidity, because we're like, hey, you know, and we had a few failures there and didn't work out. And moving chains like this gave us a one-up. We can kind of use existing code bases. So here's an example of that. ETH and BTC, for example, you saw liquidity over here. I think it tallied, my mouse is a bit buggy. So what is it? Token USD value 1.3. Yeah, so around, so BTC is like the liquidity we place is 1.3 million. But if you go here, actual liquidity we've got in our pools is 2.1. It's actually 1.3 million, but thanks to concentration nature of it, instead of it being infinity, it categorizes at 2.1, which means, you know, it's more liquid to take on bigger swaps, right? This was the goal. And you can just see some of the liquidity. It's just far better. Instead of that 1 million, we're getting 1.6. Instead of that 1.3, we're getting 2 million. And for the SODAX Soda, because all our community are degens when it comes to this token, and it's the right token to be a degen with, we've actually only got like $400,000 or $500,000 in this pool, but look at that liquidity. It's absolutely ludicrous. This is, people have literally gone 0.001 and 1 to get the max APR, but the second we have like a fraction of volume, they would fall out of these zones, and this liquidity will slip back to like 1 million or 2 million.
Because it falls out of range.
Bingo. Yeah. So this is kind of like it was 50 million a week ago. So people have obviously gone in and even tightened their ranges even more to try and get that APR. I think it was a mistake allowing that to even happen.
Yeah, and you go out and you go like, this is the product. Here's the guidelines. Like, please use it like this responsibly. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. And then they're like, yeah, okay. And then everyone turns around and does exactly what you told them not to do. Do not all your, it'll go the way it goes. It's fine.
Yeah. Then the next tab over here is volume. Now this is only the and this is kind of what I talked about, the data. It's kind of at the moment separate. So this is our AMM, the pools, the new pools volume. And so in April, you can see at the moment, this is kind of generated 3.25. Okay, that's great. And yeah, so we're tracking this data, but it's not combined with the Solver data. And that's another dashboard. So that's something to keep in mind. That's kind of what we're working on to then pull it together. Revenue, I'm happy to show this, but again, a little bit of this is, it's not accurate. So this is a bit of this data is wrong. And this is kind of what I was trying to tell you all before, at times the Solver was doing, which has been capturing data, which has made the data a bit incorrect, and it's still not fixed. Like some of the metrics that show up here is incorrect. Otherwise, it's looking much better than what it is. But yeah, so overall, you can see we are looking, this data is actually accurate. We are capturing all the DEX fees, the volumes from the pool. So in April, that alone has generated close to 3,000, which is great start. The money market, as we see more loans and things migrate, remember, as we see more of that migrate, that's kind of what you're looking at here, all the fees that are coming in and then distribute to 50, 20, 20, 10, NOL, burn, staking, DAO, and this is incorrect. The lending manager, I won't talk. This is the Solver fees. Ignore lending manager. It's called Solver. It's all the Solver fees, what it generates, and kind of wrong. It's just wrong. And yeah, the stability fund was 2 months or 3 months of claim. So hence you're kind of seeing those extra bloated figures. But anyway, what I'm trying to show here is this is kind of where it's tracking, purposely not gone out because some of the fee data is incorrect due to the bug. And hence I kind of haven't wanted to, if it's wrong, I don't want to put that data out. But this is kind of how things are tracking.
If it's wrong, you don't put it out, and it's still slightly wrong, and that's why the work has to go in. When this is up to date and good, we can bring it to the front.
Exactly, and that is currently happening. There's work in progress to get that. I don't have a exact date. The fee bugs should get fixed post all those 3 kind of big solver things I kept talking about that are codependent. Once those get to production, it includes that patch so that the solver won't make those errors and distribute. And then we can kind of remove some of the fail-safe implementations we've put in, to fact check the fees. And it will go straight to the fee wallet, which will then track the data correctly, etc. And we'll have that data.
Yeah.
Okay, David, I'll stop there. Were we 10 minutes?
We were exactly the amount of time that we planned. So again, perfect score, 10 out of 10. Wouldn't change a thing. No, it's gone a bit longer. I think, quite happy with that progress, with that roadmap, and curious to see where we are 4 weeks from now. There's a couple of big things shipping, and I'd say we leave it at that. And thank everyone for listening. Subscribe if you made it this far. Anything you want to add?
Well, I was just going to ask where you're going. I've heard that you're off on an adventure, and I think you should tell everyone.
You want a little marketing dessert. I think I'll post my monthly personal marketing update on X. It'll be live when you're listening to this, so go and give that a read. The TLDR is that, next week, but you'll know when you listen to this, we're at Consensus Miami with SODAX, which is going to be very good. We're attending a bunch of side events with booth presence. We'll be on panels talking about the SODAX product and its relevance in the current markets and the current need for cross network infrastructure like we're building right now. Consensus Miami, it's a big event where we want to be meeting with all of our current partners and prospective partners. We're not just bringing our solver to external marketplaces to solve trades, but we're also bringing our SDK to as many builders as possible, so that more and more apps can get the benefits of our cross-network infra. And at the end of the day, it's the users that get good features, good, handy, nifty features, not having to worry about stuck transactions, gas, and that kind of stuff. So that's Consensus Miami. Another big one is our SODA asset. The migration ICX to SODA is officially being supported by Kraken exchange. And that's just something that we've kind of known for a bit, but weren't able to talk to. We're very happy. This just means that all users who hold ICX on Kraken will not have to self-custody in any form. So you don't have to take out your ICX, go through a migration on the website, and then bring it back again. Just leave it sit there. And I think that that's the biggest friction point for the legacy community. A meaningful share of ICX supply has historically sat on Kraken. And this basically unlocks the migration for them without any technical lift. Like they can just do it. And we're looking at other exchanges to follow suit. ICX has been one of the longest running layer ones in the space. Icon has been. So it's a big validation for our effort, for our rebranding and our new direction that Kraken is supporting. So that's another big call out to make.
Kraken's been on point, and by that I mean just no riffraff.
No riffraff.
Here, this is the thing. This is how it's going to happen. These are dates. There's exclusive clause, etc. You can't talk about it, but there's no. Yeah, I'll stop there. I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, David, that's good. I have to really control myself. Okay, I think that's good.
Thanks, Fez. Thanks, listeners. Of course, now if you've made it this far, you're the core of the SODA holders community. So we thank you very much, and we try to make it better every day. See you on the next one.